It's Thanksgiving week. It's a short week for me, even though the museum's open on Friday. We've got actually a really huge event happening on Friday. I'm kind of burnt out, so I'm going to take my 4 day weekend and not think about museums for a while. Or at least that was my plan until yesterday. Aaron Cope posted a very thoughtful and provoking essay that I don't think he intended to call me out, but he did mention my name, and I sort of feel a little bit obligated to think about at least, and if not respond to the article he wrote. And I think one of his major points was just that Twitter is not necessarily the best place to have deep conversations and ways to like where it's a place where nuance is lost and often inflammatory, provocative statements can be taken out of context. And I think that's is dead on. I think that's a really good point. To that end, I think maybe I'll be spending a little bit of my 4 day weekend writing. I used to do a lot more writing on my blog, and I think I've actually looked at the data last night, and as soon as Twitter came around, like my blog posting went way down, and I think that's something that can be fixed. This is kind of a placeholder. I think there are sort of 4 topics that I want to address over the next weeks on my blog in particular. I think this idea of what the role is of a digital team at a museum in 2019 is really top of mind for me because I'm about to hire somebody, and I'm thinking about what that job description should actually look like to really solve the problems and achieve the goals that I've got set for our museum. This is really kind of this whole outsourcing versus insourcing question, what the vendor relationship needs to be ongoing, kind of what the scope of a digital team should be at a museum or could be at a museum. These are kind of things that I've just been like noodling on for the past year. I think another topic would really be about how I'm using Twitter as a I guess a reputation building or destroying mechanism, as it may be. But really just thinking about personal branding generally and how museum professionals might use that. I'm not a social media expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do have a strategy that I'm trying to employ, and it should be pretty obvious if you just follow my Twitter feed. Another idea would be writing a post around making versus talking as a way to prove your points. I do think a lot of us, do a lot of talking and pontificating, but don't do enough kind of proving it out with experiments and with prototypes. So I think that's, I'd like to make a lot of things and put them in people's hands, and that's always where the best conversations start, for me at least. And then I guess related would be this idea of, I've been ranting a bit about things like augmented reality now, kind of incoherently for a while. So I really want to just be clear with what I mean around how museums should be evaluating and I guess incorporating emerging technologies in a way that avoids hype cycles and avoids boondoggles and just really is to really properly incorporate stuff that we just are now just talking about at conferences and getting wooed by vendors, and we just want to make sure that at least what really for me that we're not wasting a lot of money on stuff that we just don't need or won't really go anywhere. So those are sort of placeholder topics, and have a happy Thanksgiving.